Okay, ready? Okay. Let's go live. Ready, and we're live! Okay, so, hey pussies! Welcome to the 5th episode of Positive Pussy Live. I'm Positive Pussy, and I'm here today with my second guest ever. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Daniel.
Yes, this is Daniel. He's one of my partners. Last week I was on with Lizzie, who is the third person in our throuple. She's also our partner.
I love her very much.
We love her. We love Lizzie. Hi, Lizzie. I'm sure she's on. The one person watching us. So if you haven't watched last week's episode, me and Lizzie, the title is Monogamy, Polyamory, and Everything in Between Part 1. And this is Part 2. So if you haven't watched it, you can watch it on my website, positivepussy.live. Thank you for helping me with the site.
You're welcome.
So this is my website. You can watch the video there. I have also included video resources, links to books, websites. I have my email on there and my Twitter at positive. This is hold my sign at positive puss. Thank you. So you can follow me on Twitter. I post updates, videos, articles. I posted a really funny Key and Peele video before my Pussy Pleasure. It was really funny. You should watch it. Anyway, so on my website, there's also a contact page. And one more thing, like this video and share it. So I'm on YouTube now, which is really cool. I'm really excited to hopefully reach more people on here. But now that I have a YouTube, you can like the video, you can share the video, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, which would be really cool. And you can still comment and ask questions. And if there are any, which there never are, but if there are any questions, maybe one day, maybe today will be the day there's one question. But then Daniel can help me answer them. But anyway, thank you everybody for joining, and thank you, Daniel, for being here.
You're very welcome.
He's so
Happy
excited.
to be here.
He's so excited. Okay, so we can just get started. So last week I covered 2 styles of monogamy, which was classical monogamy. Do you remember what that one is?
You're with one partner forever, and that's it.
Yes, so like penguins or really old people. And serial monogamy, which would be you before me.
You're just one person at a time.
Yeah, one person.
And yes, I did that.
Yeah, so serial monogamy is what most people here in America are today, but there are also 4 styles of consensual non-monogamy. The first one would be monogamous, so that's you make your own rules about your relationships and like what you're allowed to do. Monogamous, it's like the first step in open relationships that goes from kissing all the way to being able to have sex with other people. Then there's polyfidelity. And I'm not sure if I said this last week, but polyfidelity includes thruples and quads. And I think last week I said that everybody in the quad has to have a sexual relationship, but that's not true. The quad relationship in polyfidelity, they just have to have a sort of relationship. They don't have to have a sexual relationship. So if there's 2 girls and 2 guys, and so like 2 heterosexual couples, and then the girl and the guy and the girl kind of swap, and they have relationships that way, then that counts as a quad. So that could happen for us, maybe. That could happen.
Down the road.
Yeah. Anyway, so a quad is part of polyfidelity, and thruples are polyfidelity, and that's just everybody in the thing has some sort of relationship, sexual or not. And then polyamory, which is sexual and romantic relationships outside of just the regular group in the middle. So it could be 2 or 3. I guess for us is 3. And then anarchy, which is just no structure and usually no relationships at all. But it's however you set it up. If you're the anarchist, you make your own rules. But I did. So that was everything I covered last week with Lizzie. And it was really fun to talk about all the different relationship styles. And we went over some other stuff too. But I didn't get a chance to talk about hierarchy, polyamory, compersion, and jealousy, which are all very important when you're talking about relationships, and especially relationships with multiple people. So we'll talk about hierarchy polyamory, which is, it's exactly like it sounds. There's a hierarchy of lovers. We don't really have this hierarchical thing that's going on, but you learned a lot about it when you were researching.
Yeah, so like when I first kind of started opening up to like the idea of being poly, I just looked into polyamory as a whole, and I saw a lot of people talking about their primary partner and their secondary partner and stuff, and it didn't seem like a very good fit for me. I didn't like looking at one of my partners as a secondary, as somebody that was like below the other person. I kind of looked at polyamory as being able to love two people equally for like two different reasons, but you can still love them just as strong. Like I was saying, I get that question a lot actually whenever I tell somebody that I have two partners, is that they always assume that I love one more than the other, or spend more time with one than the other or something. And I'm like, nope, I definitely, like, I love them both equally, just for different reasons. And like that seems to be the one thing that people can't really understand. They're really used to just, there's one person that's just your primary, and that's like your main person, and everybody else is other than that.
Yeah, and I also covered a little bit of that last week, that heteronormativity that really like clouds people's judgment when they're looking at polyamorous relationships. They, society tells us there's only one person, and it really fucks you up if you're somebody who does fall in love with two people, and you're like, well, I mean, that feels wrong. And so we had to kind of challenge that. We'll talk a little bit more about your personal experience in that later. But so a primary, so this is basically what hierarchy polyamory is. There's a primary and then there's secondary. So the primary is the partner with the highest degree of involvement or entanglement, and there can be more than one primary. So that would be co-primary people. And that, I guess we could be kind of considered co-primary, because like you and Lizzie are my primaries, and Lizzie and I are your primaries, and Lizzie has you and me. So we're like co-primary, and then we have other relationships outside of the three of us, sexual or not, that I guess could be considered secondary. But I mean, if there was like another person that we wanted to have a relationship with, I wouldn't really consider it a secondary relationship. It would more just be like another relationship. But the labels don't technically matter.
Yeah, and I mean, it like develops over time too. Like if somebody new were to come into the relationship, they wouldn't immediately, like they're new. We just like just started like dating this person, so they're not immediately gonna just be your primary. But like that will just build over time. Like you can be open up to the idea of everybody just, getting onto the same level.
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense.
If like that's what you wanted, like you don't want somebody to be secondary, you could be dating for, to make them become, someone equal in your life, but it's up to you. But okay, so secondary is somebody that's given less time and energy. It's either out of circumstance or choice. So circumstance would be like two people are married and the one person in the marriage has another relationship. That person would be a secondary, because circumstance, obviously you can't be married to more than two people at once, so you have to have that primary partner. But it's all how you look at it. So hierarchy polyamory is just a way to like organize your relationship, and it doesn't really, you don't have to buy into it, and I don't really buy into it like too much. But
just labels. There's
also a tertiary label, which I feel like is just like sad, but it's all how you figure out your boundaries with your partner and the people in the relationship. And so like another reason would be like cohabitation. So like if you live with one person but you're having other relationships in your polyamory, like that, those other relationships might be secondary because you don't live with them, so you literally don't get to spend as much time with them. Or if you have children with somebody, that really makes that person more important in some ways, just because that's like the person you had a child with. Yeah. But I don't know anything about children, so. Anyway.
Problems you run into if you kind of explore your poly side later in life, after you've already kind of settled down and had these, like, if you already have a kid with somebody, or you're already living with somebody and somebody, or married to them for a while.
Then it would be helpful to have like secondary and primary boundaries, especially if you're married and have kids with somebody. You might not want the secondary people to come sleep in your house and like be part of that family life. So
it could potentially spare the feelings of the secondary, because if the secondary enters into the relationship and is expecting the same level of treatment as their like spouse, they may not get that kind of treatment. So just being clear and upfront ahead of time, like, I have my primary relationship, and then this would be a secondary
that's definitely part of it. It's all about the boundaries that it creates. Like, the label doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it's about the boundaries that you're, associating with it. So good point.
Open communication.
Yeah, just open communication. So if you're trying to figure out how to organize your relationship with more than one person, some tips that we have is to just be honest about how you feel. So when you were first starting out trying to open up our relationship, you had to be very honest about how you felt.
Yeah, so it's kind of a long uphill battle, but started off with Maggie and I just being kind of open sexually. But we kind of had this kind of boundary of no feelings. It was just like purely sexual relationships.
Yeah.
So
we started slow.
Yeah. Well, Lizzie was also a very close friend of mine, and there was obviously a lot of like romantic tension there, like on top of the obvious sexual tension. And so I kind of got myself into like a little bit of a gray area, in that I did have these really strong feelings for her.
So it's like feelings and not sexual at that point.
Yeah, and so I kind of got into that mindset where I like felt bad. I was like, am I just like this terrible person that's like I can't just like be happy with just one or something? And I actually kind of was an eye-opener, was on a trip up to Oregon. I saw a poly couple, and I was like that like is amazing, like that's definitely what I want. I just like had never seen an actual poly couple like in the wild. And I was like, that's actually a thing that we can do. So I essentially just went to Maggie, who we already had a good past of just being really open about everything, being really understanding, could talk about literally anything, and we could get past it. So I basically just told Maggie about my feelings for Lizzie. At first, there was a pretty like definite shock at first from Maggie, but then Maggie, being the open-minded person that she is, was like, well, we don't, like, just because society says that you can only love one person doesn't mean you have to only love one person. And so she kind of opened up to the idea of it. And then so she started doing her research. And then from there, I went and kind of talked to Lizzie about it, because she had a lot of strong feelings for me, but didn't want to like lose me. I was just about to graduate from college and move away.
Yeah.
She thought I was like going to disappear, and I didn't want that. Like, I still wanted her in my life. And so kind of ended up just getting into this position where I was just like, I can't like just...
You can't pick.
Yeah, I couldn't just pick, and I also couldn't just like let Lizzie go. So I just like kind of took a chance and went to Maggie, told her about my feelings, and then went to Lizzie, and then went to her about
your feelings.
My feelings.
Yeah, the first step, be honest, super honest about your feelings. And then our situation was that, yes, I was willing to let you explore that relationship in, the way that you guys, it started pretty slow, and it was more of like a primary, secondary thing too, because like we were basically living together and like spending all our time together, and then you would go and you would be allowed, or you would like hang out with her and be allowed, but
yeah, I would just have my days.
Yeah. And it wasn't, and like for us too, like with the things between me and Lizzie weren't like super good. it wasn't bad, but there wasn't really anything there, which is why we had to kind of create compromises. So if you're looking to kind of figure out if there's a person you want, so like he had a specific person in mind, which is not, I don't know, that's a way to bring it up, but for some people they'll just like to bring up the idea first, but you know.
Well, for me it was like I didn't even think of being poly as a
that's true.
Until I was like basically just like hit in the face with these feelings.
I think that's how it happens for a lot of people too, though. Like, and that's how I felt for a lot of my life, was like, well, obviously regular relationships don't work, so I need to be in something different, and that's why we had an open relationship in the beginning anyway. You know, like we both were like, this is weird. Why are relationships so bad? Or like not bad for other people, but bad for us. And then we kind of created our own rules. But then, so once you came to me with your feelings for Lizzie, and you came to Lizzie with your feelings for her, we had to figure it out at that point, because just, you know, I wanted to be with you, she wanted to be with you, you wanted to be with us, so why couldn't we work it out? And we did. We had some sort of relationship, and it worked for a while until it didn't, and then we had to fix it and make it even better. So don't try to make relationships into something they're not, which is something I'm pretty guilty of, and I think maybe a little bit, maybe you think?
Kind of.
I don't know.
Or just kind of take it slow and go at a good pace.
Let's just, try not to make relationships into something they're not. Basically, like, don't build them up into something bigger, because you don't want to be disappointed, and you don't want to expect too much from somebody. Like, you don't want to expect too much from someone who is new to it and isn't okay with it, and then, you know, you get hurt, which is what I did.
You also have to be open-minded enough to be able to allow communication, where say you're in a monogamous relationship, you have to be comfortable in being able to at least bring up the idea of a poly relationship. Wouldn't want that to get confused as trying to force a poly relationship. So like talking to your partner about it, it wouldn't be trying to force a poly relationship on her or on your partner.
Just like talking about
just being able to have that open conversation about your needs and feelings.
Yeah. So, yeah. Make the relationship work for the people who are in it. Make sure things are explicitly communicated, which we're good at that now. Before we weren't as good, but we're good at it now.
Definitely.
It takes some work. Open communication, but we Lizzie and I joked
between all partners.
Lizzie and I joked last week I was going to make a sign that's like communication, and I totally didn't. But anyway, let's move on. So, what we're going to talk about, a common myth about poly people is, okay, this is the myth. The myth is that we don't feel jealousy, but we do.
Yeah. When things aren't communicated.
Oh, yeah. So I've definitely been jealous. Daniel has been jealous. I think that poly people aren't immune to jealousy, but it's like, well, how does it work then? But it's just how we deal with our jealousy, and it is talking about it. So if you have jealousy in your relationship, the best thing is to tell your partner that you have jealousy. So there was one time I was feeling jealous about that one girl that you have. She's completely your type.
Oh.
And she's super hot, and I was jealous, and I just told him on the phone, I was like, I'm just jealous because she's completely your type. And yeah, so that you just need to be honest about it, and then you can talk about it. It's like, if you don't tell your partner that you're feeling jealous because of something, then you can't talk about it. And then if you talk about it, you can isolate the actual problem. So your jealousy is triggered by what your partner does. So my partner, Daniel, got an amazingly attractive redhead that I was super jealous of, because that's his type, attractive redheads. And just that action triggered my jealousy, but my jealousy wasn't caused by the action. The actual problem was that we weren't talking as much because he was far away. He was long distance, and we didn't get to see each other as often, and we weren't having sex, obviously. And so if you talk about your jealousy, you tell your partner what is making you feel jealous and like that you're feeling jealous at all, it can help you deal with the problem in a more positive way. So
yeah, like literally later that day, Maggie went from jealous to like excited for me. It's like, yay, go have your dream sex, like woo.
Yeah. So if you can find the underlying cause of it, so the underlying cause is like, well, he's long distance and I miss him. That's not really anything you can do about it. And all it took for him to make me feel better is like, what, you just like tell me that I'm also a hot redhead and like make me feel better about it. And also just telling me that, oh, like I still really miss you. And of course, like if you were here, you could join us and you would be a part of it too. And so yeah, like just like confirmation, words of confirmation are really helpful in that situation. But it could take 2 hours to figure out like, or to make your partner feel better about what's causing the jealousy, because it could be that you're insecure or you're feeling lonely or you're feeling ignored by your partner or you're feeling like undervalued or something. So like a long emotional conversation that's like 2 hours long could help fix that, or quick 2 minutes saying like, obviously, babe, you're the hottest redhead and you're mine, so you're better than all the other hot redheads, of course.
Obviously.
So yeah, like dealing with the jealousy, the first step is to just like talk about it and say that you're jealous. And then the second thing is just figure out why you're feeling jealous. Yeah. And it's not usually like, if you kiss someone and I'm feeling jealous, it's not because you kissed someone. It's because something is wrong in me. Like I'm feeling insecure. Like I'm afraid you're going to leave me. And now you're kissing other people. Yeah. That's one step closer to you leaving me. But it's not for us, of course.
Almost like all of our jealousy issues come from not necessarily the other person spending time with somebody else, but just how it was communicated. Yeah. So like when I was feeling lots of jealousy with Maggie and her other partners, because she was spending a significant amount of time with him, and then whenever she was hanging out with him, wouldn't talk to me at all, and so I would go like long periods of time without hearing from her. And I wasn't really upset that she was hanging out with somebody else. I was excited that she had somebody that she could hang out with that could like take her out dancing and stuff. I was like excited about that. I was just more upset at the fact that she would just like disappear and I wouldn't hear from her for a while.
Yeah, so the problem was you were like feeling ignored, and it wasn't that because I could have ignored you for anything, like taking a nap or something,
and it was mostly because it was due to the fact that he wasn't comfortable with the fact that
that's a whole nother story.
I was in the picture, and so like not talking to me for like specific reasons of like not communicating. It was all just communication issues. It has nothing to do with actual other person.
If you're feeling jealousy, it's probably not because your partner is like doing bad things. It's probably because like there's something going on with the relationship itself. Like you need to communicate more, or hang out more, or you need to tell your partner that you value them and you haven't done that in a while, or you're long distance and you need to like plan a visit. Like you don't know when you're going to see each other next, or something. Like there's something else. It's not usually the actual person that your partner is with. Okay. There is an opposite to jealousy too, though. Do you know what it is?
Compersion.
Compersion. Yes. So that's exactly what you were talking about when you were feeling excited for me. So compersion is a feeling of joy when a partner invests in or takes pleasure in a sexual or romantic relationship. Let me flip this. I feel compersion whenever I'm watching you and Lizzie make out, which I do sometimes. But yeah, so compersion was invented by this.
More like discovered.
The term was coined by the Curista commune, which was a cool poly experiment in San Francisco in the 70s and 80s. And it was just, Yeah, of course, yeah. And it was just a huge commune full of polyamorous couples, and it was awesome, I'm sure, but I don't know because I wasn't there, but I wish I was. But so they were the first people to talk about compersion. So compersion is just anytime you really feel joy when your partner is enjoying somebody else. So I would say like swingers have a lot of compersion, or it could be cuckolding. That could be part of it too, but
I think there's probably like a subtle line between like cuckolding. It would be like sexual thrill of watching somebody with somebody else.
Yeah, so I wrote it'll come.
Would be more like relationships, like getting joy from seeing somebody's relationship with somebody else.
It's romantic or sexual. So it could be if we were just open and you were just fucking a bunch of people, which has happened before. If that was, going on, I would just be feeling compersion that you're getting sexual pleasure from anybody else. I mean, from somebody else. But just like you can feel happy and sad at the same time, bittersweet moments, you can feel jealousy and compersion at the same time. So just like he described earlier when I was jealous, but then later on I was really excited that he was actually going to get to have sex with this dream person that was just exactly his type, marked all the check boxes. Oh my God. But feeling jealousy, feeling compersion, or feeling both is normal, and it's healthy. It's super healthy to feel jealous. It just means like it's not like super healthy, but it's healthy in the fact that it means that you're thinking about your feelings and you are valuing your partner, and if you can talk about those feelings and then feel more secure even after, that's the best. And doesn't make you like super weird if you're overly jealous. It just means you have a lot of stuff you need to talk about with your partner. Like there's things that need to be fixed. So if you're feeling jealous, it might be just as simple as focusing on those feelings of compersion to get yourself out of it. So like me focusing on Daniel having a really great time with that girl. Really helped me just like move on from the jealousy and just accept like, okay, I was jealous, but those are the feelings I had, and now I can move on and feel compersion. So you can figure out where your feelings of jealousy come from, if they're from fear or from insecurity, or you can take your feelings of jealousy and make them sexy. So cuckolding. So if you guys don't know what cuckolding is, that's when you watch your partner have sex with somebody else. And I personally really like that. But some people really get off on jealousy. So if, like you are someone who's like really jealous and you cannot get a handle on it, definitely figure out what's happening, that problem, if you're insecure or if you're scared or whatever it is, and talk about it. But also you might want to try making it turn you on a little bit so you can get something out of it. I don't know. Just try it out.
I've definitely done that a few times.
Yeah. So, okay, we've been talking for a long time. So I just wanted to, we've talked about how you knew you were poly and like the intro of everything. And I'm really glad you were here to talk about it all with me. Thank you. I love you.
I love you too.
Okay. So I just wanted to reiterate some of the resources that I mentioned last week. So that website, More Than Two, super good polyamorous website. You did a lot of research on there, right? When you were reading about polyamory, More Than Two.
I honestly don't remember which websites I was on.
I remember you were on that one. Like 1 year. Okay.
1 year, whatever. It's a long time for me.
Okay, so More Than Two has a book and a website. They're both really good. Ethical Slut is a good one, which is about classical non-monogamy, all kinds. Opening Up is also a good one. And then there's a website I discovered recently called polyamorydiaries.com, which is also really informative and a good place to go if you're looking to do research on polyamorous relationships. And then I'll plug my website one more time.
Oh, yeah, if you're on Reddit/polyamory. It's a good little community.
Reddit/polyamory is a good community. I guess Reddit, yeah. So this is my website, positivepussy.live. You can see all my videos on there with their resources. Definitely like and subscribe like the video. Subscribe to Positive Pussy on YouTube. Follow me on, oh my God, I did it again. It's upside down. Follow me on Twitter at Positive Puss. And yeah, I think that's everything. So next week, happy Masturbation May, everybody. Masturbation May. I love masturbating. he also does too. And I tried to get him to come on for the masturbation episode, but look at this. He didn't want to talk about it. But I'm definitely going to try to get a different dude on, because obviously I can't really speak to male masturbation that much. I don't have a dick. I wish I had one. I wish I had both. But I don't. So I'm going to try and get somebody on to come talk about male masturbation. But happy Masturbation May. Next week it's going to be all about masturbating. So tune in on Tuesday. And I think that's everything. Yeah. All right. See you pussies next week. Goodbye for meow.